Hello and welcome to the Justice Factor. The Constitutional Court has found that the failure of the South African Police Services to promote Captain Renate Barnard because she was white did not amount to unfair discrimination and was done in the spirit of the Constitution. What happens now with this case? My guests to discuss this are Johan Kruger, Deputy General Secretary of Trade Union Solidarity, and Themba Dlamini, MD of the Black Management Forum. After that discussion, we'll have our winner and our big loser of the week. But first, let's take a look at the week's top stories with author and EWN journalist Stephen Grootes. Stephen, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
I have to say, it's been a weekend and a day for extraordinary utterances. Kebby Maphatsoe, the Minister of Transport. Let's start with Kebby Maphatsoe. What could have driven him to say that the public protector is a CIA agent and that she needs to reveal who her handler is? It was extraordinary.
It's a mistake piled upon a disaster, really, because on the one side, he's saying that she's a CIA agent. Now, if he had proof, surely you reveal it. And we all know the old trick. You're a spy, now you have to prove that you're not, which is nonsense. But the real political mistake here, surely, is that he wasn't forced into saying it in the first place. It wasn't as if there'd been more revelations from the public protector or anyone supporting her had made some comment that he had to respond to. He just said it. And I think it's what happens when you just want to show how much you love and who is your political number one, who is the person that you're actually supporting. He wanted to show his love for President Jacob Zuma. And
he said it at the funeral on Saturday, then he says it to a newspaper on Sunday, then he says it again today on Monday. It's almost as if he doesn't care about the fallout from this.
Well, I think he feels that he's going to be so protected that it's not going to matter because he's doing the right thing. I was very interested that Luthuli House itself felt it had to sort of distance itself. And I thought also partly because the American ambassador reacted so quickly saying that this is just nonsense. And it is nonsense. You know, in the fight for public opinion, and there is one when it comes to Nkandla and the public protector, I mean, that's fine. And you're allowed to play by, you know, pretty rough rules of the game. But this, I think, was just an unnecessary mistake. And it also, I think, maybe shows you, just maybe, that there's a little bit of a fight for relevance within Luthuli House. You know, the power of the leagues is not what it was, say, 5-10 years ago. And the MK, MVA, the military veterans, they're, you know, a sort of relatively new league in that they have more legitimate power under the ANC constitution than they did, but they don't have much political power. There's also been, and I raise it very delicately, but there has been a suggestion that Maphatsoe himself didn't see much action during the liberation struggle.
Well, we could get into that, but we'll wait for him to come on the show. Firstly, tell me, there have been attacks on the public protector from various alliance partners, the SACP and so forth. Are these orchestrated? Is someone saying, oh, it's time for you to have a go now? You say there might be some divisions within the party itself, but is there a hand saying it's time for you to have a go?
We've seen before quite tight coordination of the various arms and organizations. You know, sometimes it would start with a comment from, say, the Young Communist League by kind of 9 o'clock in the morning, and then by 11 the SACP itself, and then by 12 maybe Kasatu, and maybe by 2 o'clock Luthuli House, and don't forget, and Sanka. And then by the end of the day, you know, government itself was, we've seen that happen before. That hasn't happened with the public protector. It's been, I think, slightly looser. I think it's also almost been, I don't want to say harder to orchestrate or arrange, in that would mean necessarily that President Jacob Zuma is not in the political position that he was. But I do think that there's been a looser kind of coordination here, and it's really been left to the organizations themselves to sort of come up with their own comments and then make them. But I still don't understand why he felt the need to say it now when the story seemed to be going away.
Now, let's move away from that story. There's another utterance, and it was on your radio show today, when the Minister of Transport comes on and says, you know, this commission that's going on in Gauteng, people going up and saying, oh, you know, this is not right, we can't have these e-tolls and so forth. That, no, they can go on all they like, but you know what? I'm not going to listen.
I thought the soundbite was, as I said in my budget speech, the user pay principle is not up for review. I thought that was fascinating. I mean, very strong words. And I think from a spin point of view, I think absolutely the right thing to say. We've had 3 weeks of submissions to this panel, just one from the Consulting Engineers South Africa saying that they agree with the principle of user pay. Even the SACP couldn't get their act together to come out and support whatever government does. So I think she maybe felt the need to hit back, and I think that was probably the right thing. It's not going to make her very popular, and we mustn't forget the real fault line here. It's not us, the poor person, versus nasty government. It's actually national ANC versus provincial ANC.
But provincial ANC is going to turn around and say, why are you doing this when we've just installed a new premier? We're hoping to find a way not to continue bleeding support, and you're going out and beating us on the head.
Absolutely. And they'll say, never mind whether we'll lose Gauteng in 2019. Look at Ekurhuleni, Tshwane, and Joburg, 3 municipalities, the 3 big metros in Gauteng. All of them are touched by the e-tolls in all sorts of different ways. And of course, don't forget, sitting on the sidelines, sort of, is COSATU. This is doing damage to COSATU as well.
The spy tapes. Now, the spy tapes, Helen Zille receives them last Thursday. It's a victory and so forth, and it's dancing. Now she says today that actually there is enough evidence here for us to go for the review. What happens next?
Well, you know, they're going to submit their documents, their legal papers next month in October. And, you know, Helen Zille has said that this is the most important review application since 1994 in terms of legally looking at whether a decision was correct. And at first, when she first said it, I thought this is just hyperbole. But actually, when you think about it, she's probably right. If the corruption charges are reinstated against President Jacob Zuma, what are the political implications of that? What does it mean for Mokotedi Mshe's position? What was he actually doing back in 2009 when he, and he alone technically, had to take the decision to withdraw those charges?
But this is going to take long, Stephen Grootes.
It is going to take a long time, but there are going to be different aspects of it that will come at different times. So the first court decision would probably be middle of next year. That gets appealed, we presume, if past experience is anything to go by. So then the decision is still in play in 2016 during local government elections. Possibly even, I think we're running 2 years from
but
first.
But you're going into 2017 now.
Exactly. And what happens at the end of 2017?
Conference.
The ANC goes to its conference. And the Jacob Zuma political machine at the moment is still very strong. But if you support Jacob Zuma now, Kebima Patswe, and suddenly those charges come back, might you be on the wrong side of history? It's probably way too early to even suggest that, but it still could be interesting.
I want to take a bet with you. By the end of this week, all the stuff that we say is so important and is so meaningful will be off the front pages, and Oscar Pistorius will be their main story.
I'm not taking, I'm not giving you any of my money.
I want to know one thing. Were you surprised by the massive interest that has been shown in this trial over the past few months, by the fact that all of us are talking about, you know, I put it to you, Stephen Grootes.
Well, Gerry, yes. It is a story that sort of has everything. You know, it has, and I'll try and put this delicately, it has the man bites dog factor to it. It has the unexpected. It has the rise of the hero from a difficult background and then the massive fall. It has, and this is important with international television, it has the blonde. So there's all of that. Of course, there's a very real human tragedy that often gets overlooked. What surprises me in a way is I think most people made up their minds during the cross-examination phase, and I'm surprised that there's still so much interest now, because I think people know what they think.
Yeah, and you'll see it on Friday again and Thursday. Stephen Grootes, always a pleasure speaking to you. I look forward to rereading your book now that all this stuff is coming out. Right after this, we take an in-depth look at affirmative action with the BMF and Solidarity. Don't go away.